This is KHQA News at 10, working for you.
Bullets do not choose the victim, the shooter does.
A relative of the victim in a Quincy murder reacts to a guilty verdict reached tonight. Jurors found Gavin Masters guilty of first-degree murder within the last hour. We now go out to KHQA's Raja Maples, who is standing by live at the Adams County Courthouse. And Raja, go ahead and walk us through what happened tonight at the courthouse.
The jury spent about 5.5 hours trying to decide on a verdict. They went in at around 3:30 and just read the verdict around 9 p.m. This is quite a change from the 88 minutes that the jury took last week to convict Sasan Kreider. Now, that jury that decided on Gavin Masters' murder trial comprised 9 women and 3 men, and I watched as the verdict was read tonight, and one juror just sobbed during the whole time. Now, as you can imagine, the victims' relatives cheered and chanted both inside the courthouse and outside the courthouse. And I'm joined now by one of the victims' family members, Randy Bowser Smith. This is Felicia French, a cousin of Randy Bowser Smith. What's your reaction to this verdict tonight, Felicia?
We would just like to thank the jury for their service in making the decision for Randy and Skylar. This is not a time nor a place of celebration for our family, but a reflection to what was going on and what happened. No parent should have to bury their child. This has been extremely hard for my family and the community. We just hope that these young children can just stop the violence and put the guns down, and just instead of thinking about themselves and think about their loved ones too, that they also could be hurting.
All right, Felicia, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've also spoken with the family member of the other victim, Skylar Osborne. He is paralyzed. Doctors do not know if he will ever be able to walk again. And I was told that Skylar is very pleased with this verdict. Now, sentencing is set for December 23rd, and we will show you what happens then. Just follow us online, Facebook and Twitter, reporting live from the Adams County Courthouse. I'm Raja Maples. Back to you.
Raja, thank you. Also tonight, a Lewis County, Missouri boy who was reported missing has been found safe. 4-year-old Jewel Min was illegally taken by his biological mother, Janelle Min, early yesterday evening. That's according to the Lewis County Sheriff's Department. Jewel was found unharmed and is safe. Deputies with the Lewis County Sheriff's Office have taken Janelle Min into custody. Sheriff David Parrish told KHQA that an Amber Alert was not warranted.
The biggest difference is that law enforcement did not reasonably believe that it was kidnapping or child kidnapping. We did not feel like the child was at serious risk or imminent risk, if you will, of bodily injury or death.
And again, authorities have taken the mother, Janelle Min, into custody. Well, new tonight, unofficial results are in from today's elections in Lee County. In the race for Keokuk Mayor, Tom Marion won his re-election bid unofficially over Chuck Betts, 904 to 620. Also up for grabs were spots on Keokuk and Fort Madison's city councils. There were also votes in Donaldson and West Point. You can find full results online right now at KHQA.com. Well, Dave Holder stands in now to talk a little bit about that weather. Dave, I know unseasonably warm now for November. That's kind of a trend we've been seeing all last month, too. What can you tell us about the conditions right now?
Well, we had fog earlier this morning. That burned off, and the sun came out, warmed us right up, well above average. But now we got some fog forming again tonight in the tri-states. It's starting to fog up a little bit outside here at the studio. Just walked around a little bit. Notice that temperature at 54 degrees, very close to that dew point, 53 degrees. And that really is what causes that air to saturate and create these clouds at the surface. Do have a light wind to southeast at 8 miles per hour. That'll inhibit a little bit of the fog growth. But there you go. Dense fog advisories for the eastern 2/3 of the tri-states. If you are traveling around tonight or the early morning hours, please make sure that you give yourself extra time to get where you needed to go. And you can see Macomb, Quincy, Pittsville, and Jacksonville all now experiencing foggy conditions. The temperature in Quincy has actually risen a few degrees here in the last 30 minutes or so. You can barely see it on the satellite and radar just in the southeast corner of your screen there as it works its way up from the southeast. Now tonight we'll continue to see that fog in Quincy and the surrounding areas drop a few degrees to 52 degrees and maybe a light wind from 5 to 10 miles miles per hour from the south. Tomorrow we'll wake up with those foggy conditions. Temperatures in the mid-50s. We should get a break in the clouds, more sunshine. Temperatures well back above normal into the lower 70s. There are changes on the horizon, however, and I'll explain in my full forecast coming up in just a little while. Ross, back to you.
Almost 2 million men and women with mental health problems are involved with our country's community corrections, jail, and prison systems. That's according to the National Institute of Corrections. And here in the Tri-States, the mental health population continues to grow with no end in sight. KHQA's Michael Pilarchi continues our in-depth coverage on mental health concerns inside of jails.
Mental health is a very serious issue that we have to hit head on.
A common problem that has spread across the Tri-States.
Within the last 5 years, you're seeing more and more.
And landed behind the walls in the Marion County jails.
Approximately 25% of the inmates have some type of mental health problems associated with them that they come in with.
In recent years, Sheriff Jimmy Shin has seen inmates who suffer from mental health intensify.
When they come into our facility, that's usually the most dangerous time.
This is a challenge for officers, but could easily turn into a dual threat situation.
But on top of that, they are also dependent on alcohol or drugs.
Shin mentions it's a fight with mental health inmates once they arrive to get them in the right state of mind. However, this problem is no different at the Adams County Jail in Quincy, Illinois. Sheriff Brent Fisher says the difficulty starts when inmates aren't being medicated.
It's a matter of how long have they not been taking their medication, so then that's when you work backwards.
Fisher says the problem evolves into a burden. He points out when mental health inmates aren't fit for trial, the Department of Human Services dumps them on local jails.
If they don't have a so-called bed or a place for them to go, then your local counties are stuck with them, so to speak.
That revolving door continues north inside the Lee County, Iowa jails. However, here, the mental health inmates are placed on an action plan before leaving the jail.
We see these individuals with mental health needs. We know they don't belong here. How do we get them the services that they need?
Kirsten Kramer is a community transition coordinator for the Lee County Jail. Her objective is to help mental health inmates make the necessary adjustments once they leave, whether it's setting up appointments with doctors, refilling prescription pills, or basically staying out of jail. Kramer says helping these inmates transition to life in the community is a step towards breaking the cycle.
If we're providing resources in the jail and then just dropping them off when they get out, they're going to end up right back here.
But one thing's for sure, there's no easy solution to this complicated problem.
What does it take, and we don't know.
Michael Pilarchi, KHQA News, Quincy.
Well, new tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court has put the execution of a Missouri man on hold while a lower court considers an appeal. Ernest Lee Johnson was scheduled to be executed at 6 o'clock tonight for killing 3 Columbia convenience store workers in 1994. An appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court claims the execution drug could cause painful seizures because Johnson still has part of a benign brain tumor. A separate appeal to the Missouri Supreme Court claims Johnson has an IQ of 67 and his life should be spared because he is mentally disabled. Well, a public hearing is scheduled Thursday to discuss changes to Missouri's policies governing sexual harassment and interns at the state capitol. The hearing comes several months after former House Speaker John Deal resigned after exchanging sexually suggestive text messages with an intern. House Speaker Todd Richardson released a draft of the proposed changes last month. They include appointing an ombudsman to serve as a liaison between interns, House administration, and universities. Well, new tonight at 10, sources say the task force investigating the shooting death of Fox Lake Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz has concluded it was a suicide. The lieutenant was found shot to death in September and radioed that he was chasing 3 suspects. Police have not found any suspects. Officers say Glinowitz was shot twice with his own gun, but they have refused to release any other details 2 months following that deadly shooting. And closer to home now, local health departments are investigating the cause of a gastrointestinal illness associated with the Pike County, Illinois color drive. There have been 30 suspect cases in people who consumed apple cider bought from vendors at 2 locations. Now, symptoms include diarrhea, abdominal cramping, and vomiting. If you attended the festival or consumed apple cider during the event and have any of these symptoms, you're encouraged to contact your healthcare provider.
Still to come, Hannibal residents are still fighting to do away with a water treating chemical they say can cause health effects. I'm Jack Pluto with that story, more next on KHQA News at 10.
You're watching KHQA News at 10, working for you.
They're tasked with keeping us safe, but the Transportation Security Administration failed to do so in multiple undercover operations. Today, TSA officials were on Capitol Hill to defend their work and highlight their progress. As our national correspondent Christine Frizzell reports, some say it's time to take the TSA out of the hands of government.
For travelers, it's become a familiar drill. Shoes off, laptops out, and don't forget to leave large liquids at home. With all the precautions travelers take, the TSA's massive deficiencies are glaring and central to calls by some to privatize the government agency.
Airlines and airports should be in charge of the security of air travel because they have their money on the line.
The Cato Institute's Jim Harper has written about the inefficiencies of the TSA for years.
If each airline and each airport has a different security system, it's harder to plan any kind of attack. What we've got now is a homogeneous, one-size-fits-all system that, as we've seen, doesn't work very well.
The most recent audit of the TSA found failures across the board, from human errors to TSA procedures to failures in technology. And now even some lawmakers are calling for sweeping changes.
Congressman John Mica wants the government to oversee the TSA, but to focus on security only. He says just screeners should be privatized.
TSA needs to set the standards and the protocols and then conduct the audits, but focus on intelligence and security, connecting the dots.
But TSA officials reminded Congress that since their formation after the 9/11 attacks, there have been no terrorist attacks on airplanes, and insist they continue to improve.
We have trained our officers to understand and use equipment properly, and we've corrected our procedures.
Officials with the $7 billion a year agency acknowledge there's room for improvement, but contend they should be the ones to do it all. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Well, clean water was the topic of conversation at tonight's meeting of the Hannibal City Council. And over the past few weeks, Hannibal residents have voiced concerns about a chemical being used to treat the city's drinking water. KHQA's Jack Puda joins us now live in the studio after attending that meeting tonight. And Jack, now that you've been there, where does the conversation stand with those residents, and what, if anything, does the city plan to do about it?
Well, Ross, it was almost standing room only at the council chambers in Hannibal as a select few residents spoke to the council. They were explaining the issues they're having with the city using chloramines to treat its drinking water. Now, many residents held signs that said no to chloramines for the duration of the meeting. The Hannibal Board of Public Works has been using chloramines to treat public drinking water for about a month now. The decision was based off of guidelines set by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Residents are concerned that chloramine will cause illness, including upper respiratory and skin problems. Board of Public Works President Randy Parks said at tonight's meeting he trusts his experienced and educated staff to make the best decision when it comes to the public safety.
We're going to continue to look at it, and the fact of it is in 5 years there may be a whole different level of requirements that we have to make, and the game's always going to change on us, and it's nothing that can happen quickly.
Now, residents who spoke at the meeting say they want to hold the BPW accountable. They want the board to help them get in touch with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources to find alternatives to using chloramine. Hannibal resident Janet Dietrich says they aren't fighting against the BPW, but rather fighting with them.
We as a community need to do this together. If we're at odds against each other, we're not going to accomplish anything. We need to do it as a group.
Now, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, water is safe to drink if it contains no more than 4 milligrams per liter. The Board of Public Works will continue to monitor the levels and search for alternatives that meet DNR standards. Reporting live in studio, I'm Jack Pluta, KHQA News.
Jack, thank you. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator from Iowa Chuck Grassley cast his 12,000th vote as a U.S. Senator on Friday. As the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, he is one of the highest-ranking members in the U.S. Senate. Friend and colleague Joni Ernst took the Senate floor to congratulate Grassley on his 35-year career in the Senate.
Senator Grassley is the epitome of the Iowa way, and he has faithfully upheld these values in the United States Senate. He is a workhorse and has dedicated his entire career to serving Iowans.
Now, only 17 other senators in history have cast more votes than Senator Grassley. On top of that, he has the longest existing voting streak in Congress.
Another warm day in the Tri-States, but changes are underway. I'll tell you all about it coming up next.
Now, your exclusive 7-storm team forecast.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Our Sleep Tight weather view takes us out to rural Wyoming, where a big crack has opened up in the Earth's surface. It's pretty huge. It's 100 feet deep and 100 feet wide in certain areas. And, well, it's so big that some of the local residents have just been referring to it as, quote, the crack. And there's some pretty strange stuff going on there in rural Wyoming. Well, we don't have to deal with any cracks or fractures in the Earth's surface here in the Tri-States. We're just talking about a little more fog this evening, and it's kind of starting to roll in a little bit. Stepped outside earlier, saw it kind of developing here outside the station in Quincy, and well, there you go. Fog advisories, dense fog advisories being issued now for the eastern 2/3 of the Tri-States, all of our Illinois counties, Lee County up in Iowa, and our eastern counties here in Missouri. So if you are traveling outside tonight or in the early morning hours, make sure that you give yourself a little extra time. Visibilities might be down close to zero, so be careful out there. Almanac temperatures. Today we got up to 66 degrees, another warm day, 8 degrees above the average. Once that sun came out, it warmed us up quickly. Low is also 8 degrees above the average as well. Now look at an allergy report here. Moderate concentration of weed pollen, moderate concentration of the mold spores, and a low concentration of grass pollen. Still some clear skies in Macomb, though we are starting to see the fog develop there as well. Very mild for early October. I keep saying October, it's November now. Very mild for early November, temperature 55 degrees. Dew point 55 degrees, and that humidity percentage, when that dew point and that temperature reach almost 100%, that's what's causing the fog. There is a little breeze out there, however, and that will inhibit some of that fog development before it starts to calm down. The wind, that is. Temperatures very mild. Look at Jacksonville, 60 degrees. The rest of us hanging out in the mid-50s. There's a satellite radar. You can kind of see it if I move out of the way here, just at the bottom right of your screen, starting to move into our southeastern counties. But if we zoom out, really a quiet weather picture going on right now besides the fog. You can barely see clouds way off into the Dakotas. And, well, that's just a hint of what's to be coming our way here in the next few days. We look back to the northwest, a low pressure at the surface is developing, and well, low pressure, that means rain, and that means a chance for thunderstorms. We'll put the forecast in motion in here. Could be some clouds in our area by tomorrow afternoon, but we should stay dry. We look to the northwest, and by Thursday, yep, there comes the cold front. Chances for rain go up out ahead of the cold front and directly along the cold front as it moves through our area. Widespread showers and possibly some stronger thunderstorms by Thursday evening. You want to make sure that you pay attention to the weather. High pressure moves in by Saturday. We're going to have some cooler temperatures starting Friday. Temperatures only reaching the mid-50s by Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a few clouds around on Sunday with an outside chance for rain. Very mild tonight. Low temperatures in the low to mid-50s. High temperatures tomorrow will get up into the lower 70s on another early warm November day. And the 7-day forecast, a few clouds around after that fog burns off tomorrow. Temperatures getting up to the mid-70s. Our low tomorrow morning will only be in the mid-50s. That is very, very mild for this time of year. But things are going to change as that cold front moves through. Again, a chance for rain, widespread rain showers, a chance for some stronger storms on Thursday. Please pay attention. We'll give you the latest details as they do come out. And then once that cold front comes through, cooler, more November-like weather. I got to keep reminding myself what month it is because I seem to be forgetting.
And I've seen, sometimes early November, it can be really chilly out there.
Yeah,
so we're lucking out big time.
So far, so good.
All right, thanks, Dave. Well, Chris Dewar, and now state berth on the line in boys soccer, Chris.
And we are talking November rain for the Quincy Blue Devils soccer team, which got the job done tonight over normal. Highlights of that, highlights from every volleyball game imaginable as well. Coming up next in sports.
Now, from across the Tri-States, this is KHQA Sports.
Well, the last time Quincy High Soccer made a state Final Four appearance, the Blue Devils had a couple of guys named Donovan Bradshaw and Everett Abbey running around up top. 1995, that was too long ago. Tonight, the Blue Devils with a chance against Tinley Park Andrew to reverse course, but early on, disaster. 4 minutes in, Tinley Park Andrew with a nice goal right here to make it 1-0. The Blue Devils, though, would answer. 18 minutes later, getting back in the board, J.D. Sohn. Great cross. Riley Roth going to outrun everybody to the free ball. Punch that home, tie it up. We stayed that way at the end of the first half. Second half, it was traditional Quincy High dominance. Great touch passing as they pinball the ball around. Riley Roth about to happen, and he puts his team up with his second goal of the night. We are not done yet for the Blue Devils. How about this breakaway? Coming up, ball on one end of the field. J.D. Sohn going to send it for the freshman, Jaden Smith. And he was just going to let loose with the Jets and let loose with a one-timer. Blue Devils leading 3-1. That's the way it would end. Quincy High School clinches a berth in the Final Four with that 3-1 victory. Up next for the Blue Devils, a showdown with Bartlett. That game will take place on Friday night at 7 o'clock in Hoffman Estates. Bartlett a 1-0 winner over McHenry. Much more on that game coming up tomorrow and in the next couple of days here on KHQA. Let's talk some volleyball tonight. Sectional night. Quincy Notre Dame in action against Mattoon. Semifinals of the Rochester sectional. Big matchup with Mattoon, and Quincy Notre Dame was in crush mode from start to finish of this one. First set, Molly Penn going to throw down and kind of send a message to the good girls from Mattoon that they were out of their league tonight, and they most certainly were. Riley Humbert about to add insult to injury as she does so well. Big time kill from her, makes it 3-0 at that point. All of a sudden on the next Humbert kill, it's 8-1 Q&D, and Quincy Notre Dame is never going to look back in this match as they win in straight sets, running away tonight 25-11, 25-10. Huge night for Riley Humbert, who had 12 kills. Quincy Notre Dame moving on. Up next for the Lady Raiders, a showdown on Thursday night at 6 o'clock against Sacred Heart Griffin, who took 3 sets to dispatch with Mohammed Seymour. How about we take you up to Lewis tonight? Class 1 action today. This is a good matchup between power program Southeastern and Emden, Hardham from here to 4. Maddie Ramsey with the tip over the net for the point right there. Then more from Southeastern. Colby McClellan, tight fought first match. The big junior letting fly right there. McClellan not done, showing off her defensive chops right here. Good stuff to come, and then it's Maddie Ramsey again. She's going to hit one deep. However, at this point, Southeastern would find itself trailing 16-14, and you know what? Hardham would grab the lead in both games, never really relinquish any time in either set tonight. Abby Lance and Maddie Ramsey, you see her with the kill right here. Miss Lance trying to get things done in game number 1. Southeastern would drop that one 25-22, drop the second one 25-23, and Tim Kerr's team's fine season comes to an end tonight as the Lady Suns are dispatched in straight games. Would Payson get through to face Hardham, taking on a very good Lexington squad? And I tell you what, Payson Seymour trying to get stuff done behind Josie Stanford, the outstanding sophomore. And she was big early in this one, getting the big time hit at the net. More from the Lady Indians in this one. Riley Epperson working the baseline and working the kill here to perfection. Each team trading points in this one. How about Cameron Flessner going to do her thing, coming right back here with a kill. But every time Payson Seymour seemed to get some momentum going, Lexington would answer. Stanford coming up right here with a big time kill. However, Payson up 21-20 in game number 1 would lose that one 25-23, and they would fall 25-14 in the second game with the Lady Indians as Payson Seymour's fine season comes to an end. How about Class 1A at Pawnee? Would we get any more luck with Jacksonville Route taking on Raymond Lincolnwood? Sarah Worrell going to set up Maddie Fellhauer right here. Good stuff from her. However, too many answers tonight from Raymond Lincolnwood as a nice bit of the hitting right here. Cassidy Abbott's better efforts for the Lady Rockets were to no avail as Route loses in straight games tonight. 25-21, 25-14. Actually, check that. 25-11 was your final there. How about Illini West in action tonight against Williamsville, trying to get things done in Class 2A at the Plains sectional. This is Brianna Grotz. Nice hitting for her. Great start for Illini West. Unfortunately, Williamsville would answer with a 24-9 run. Game number 2, Jenna Bryan's fine career comes to an end. She was good. Illini West good at times, just not good enough. They lose a pair of 25-13 games to the Lady Chargers. 25-13, 25-13. Finally tonight, Fort Madison. We take you to Iowa. Would they fare any better? In Class 4A, taking on Marion, number 5 in the state. Paige Leffler with a big hit right here that falls through. Leffler really good to start this thing off, but Fort Madison out of their depth tonight. You see Miss Leffler right here will leave you with a Kaylin Featherengill finesse kill, but unfortunately for Fort Madison, dispatched in straight sets tonight as Fort Madison's fine season ends with an 18-18 record. They fall to the number 5 team in the state. 3-0, just shy of state. That's all the time we have. More news for you coming up after this.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that 7-day forecast again. Dave, you know, we talked about those really foggy conditions this morning. Any chance those return anytime soon?
They're starting to already right now. We do have those fog advisories out for our Eastern viewers. So, yeah, you're going to want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time and take it easy out there tonight and into the morning hours as those visibilities will be really reduced. But Well, we'll warm up again tomorrow, get a break in the clouds, more sunshine, and then things starting to change. That cold front starts to come in with the big storm system. Could give us a chance for stronger storms on Thursday. Cooler weather filters in for Friday and your weekend. It'll be much more November-like across the area.
Okay, brace yourselves. Thanks, Dave. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night.